And there's so many arms I want to talk to you about. You mentioned PR, publicity, public relations, and so you have a public relations arm to your business as well.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the challenges that you've faced as a publicist over the years.
Well, I think a lot of it is the amount of people that are out there now trying to get coverage is greater now than it's ever been before. I mean, when I started in the business, there was really only a couple of avenues that you could take to get established and break out in the business. And generally, it had to involve a major record label.
Hmm.
And at that point in time, the entry level to a major record label was, can you sing good? Because they didn't worry about who wrote the songs because they had staffs of writers that could write the song. They didn't worry about how you dressed or what you looked like because they had a group of people that would work with you on wardrobe and style and
That's
image
interesting.
and branding.
Mm.
Now it's like the Wild West.
Right.
There's Spotify and app. I mean, anybody can record a song and upload it for distribution. Anybody can. Now, that has flooded the market with a lot of artists, and it's a double-edged sword. So right now there's less media outlets than I can recall since I started. I officially launched a I officially launched my publicity company quite by accident in 2004. And at that time, I was probably one of five independent publicists in Nashville. Now I would venture to say there's somewhere north of 50.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the challenges that I've faced has been, and then of course you're working with an outlet, let's just say Country Weekly, which is no longer there.
Right.
I had a great relationship with Larry Holden, who was when I first started my publicity company, again, it was a total accident that happened. And I can tell you that story if you'd like. It
I
will
would love
not
to
take.
hear it. Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Okay. So in 2004, my wife and business partner of nearly 20 years was dying from breast cancer. She was very sick. Kathy was her name. And I have to give her almost total credit for me being where I am today. She believed in me without reservation. She supported me. She pushed me. She drove me to not only understand that I do what I do, but to understand that I was good at it and to accept that and not,
Own it.
oh, well, own it. She
Hmm.
she really taught me to own it. But so she was dying. I had prayed to God to not make me a booking agent anymore. I was tired of that end of the business. I was burned out. I didn't want to do it anymore. The problem was I didn't ask God to replace it with something else. And so, in short order, I had no money coming in. I was not making money. I was going into debt with credit cards and just trying to borrow to stay ahead so I could take care of my wife. I couldn't work. She was in the hospital all the time. It was really a no win situation. And my longtime accountant and business manager, Clyde Bright, called me and he said, Cliff, I've got a young couple in my office, and she's a former Miss Kansas, and her husband's here with her, and they're looking for a booking agent for her. And I was
Mm.
just quiet for just a second, and I said, "Well, Clyde, then tell them to just keep on looking because I'm not going to do that anymore." And he said, "Now, Cliff, don't be so hasty." He said, "Your phone's not ringing, is it?" I said, "No, Clyde, it's not." He said, "I know it's not." Uh, he said, "Hey, you're struggling." I said, "Yes." He said, "Take their call. They need everything." So the next day, the guy calls me, sure enough, and he said, "Hey," he introduced himself. "My wife is, artist and former Miss Kansas, blah, blah, blah. And we need a good agent." And I said, "Nope, I'm not doing that anymore. Next." And he said, "Well, we need a publicist." And I said, I'm your guy. Just like that. I'd never been a
Oh
publicist
my
before.
gosh.
I mean, I had done it for my bands. I didn't really know. I didn't never really think about making a business out of it. But so they hired me, and it's a long story. But just long story short is I ended up just killing it, just crushing it. And this was all happening right in tandem with my wife dying. As a matter of
Wow.
fact, before my contract was up with the group, my wife had passed. And so, and that project led to another. And before long, I was handling publicity for an entire record label
Wow.
who fired one of the most well-known publicists in this town and hired me and gave me all of their account.
Wow. Well, that's amazing.
And so I had good friends that I had made friends with, like
Phone's
Larry
ringing
Holcomb.
again now, right?
Yeah, my phone's ringing. I'm taking them and I'm parading them over to Country Weekly, which at that time was the hottest publication in the country world. I was getting them interviewed. I was getting their picture in the magazine, and suddenly, yeah, I mean, I've got more work than I'm turning away work. I've got so much work.
That's amazing.